Hi, and welcome to the first episode of my podcast. I wanted this episode to be just more of an introduction as opposed to anything else because we will have people join us in the next episodes. And the next episode, it's going to be called Everything and Anything because we will talk about everything and anything. And we'll go over everything that has happened in our lives. I don't want to say it's trauma dump, but think of it more of a hey, we've been through this and somehow we're still here because that is the point of the podcast is to show resilience and show that you know what like you're not alone out there because maybe somebody else already experienced what you're going through right now and you can get a couple tips from that person and I hope that helps because that is the point of the entirety of the podcast. And the reason why I did it's because for months, if not years, so many people have messaged me and asked me to like share parts of my life because they can see themselves in the same situation at times. And they have reached out to me to simply ask how I managed to get out of said situation. And I think it's so important. We have the internet. Why can we just use it for positivity instead of with all the negativity and all the negative things that are happening in the world right now, especially in our country? I think it's so important to remind ourselves to be resilient. And I know that's easier said than done. And I say that as someone that's struggling heavily with everything that's happening. I feel like even if you had your full life together, if you had an ounce of compassion in you, you would struggle. You will be struggling because it's hard, I feel like, to just be so self centered. At least to me, I'm such an empathic person and I just look at everything that's going on and I just can't help but ask myself why and what's going on and how can so many people be so heartless. And I think there's strength in numbers too. And we can form a community and we can come together and talk to each other. And this is a safe space for everyone. So I just wanted to make a quick introduction for the vibe check and just honestly say welcome because we're just going to be really raw and open and just let it all out there and put it out there for you all to see and hey. And I know that's not easy for some of us to just open ourselves up like that, especially for the world to see and judge. The internet has its pros and its cons. Take it as it is and use it for good or use it for bad. It's a double-edged sword, right? What I will say is that for me personally, and I'm going to say this before I even say anything else because I don't want anybody to think that I'm having a victim mentality because that is not at all what I think of myself or how I see myself or how I even talk about myself. I'm an open book. And sometimes some people hate that, some people love that. But to me, it's what you get type of thing. And again, reminder that I'm not nothing that I will say is for me to just be like, oh, I'm a victim. Please think of me as a victim or feel bad for me or none at all. I have my own resources. I have my own therapist that I see, and she is the one that listens to me, and she's the one that, you know, properly and professionally advises me and guides me in the right direction, amongst other things. I have people that love me and friends that I am so thankful for because I don't know where I would be without them. And my girlfriend that, thank God, has been here for me every step down that I take. She helps me come back up. And for that, I'm forever, Lord knows, going to be grateful for. But it hasn't been an easy life, not by a chance. Not since the second, how can I say this? I feel like two people met in 94 and just didn't think about what could happen or go on once this kid would come out. The kid is me, and now I'm 30, and life has kicked my ass, for lack of a better word. And it still is. And you would think, when is it going to be enough? When am I going to go through enough trauma? Or when is life going to ease up? And you know what? It has. There's been moments where it has. There's been years where it has. And I just didn't appreciate it at the moment or took it for granted. I don't want to say that I took it for granted, but I didn't exactly see how wonderful it was to have that peace at that moment and to have a good life when I did have it, or a good moment when I did have it. And that's it's not, again, it's not I took it for granted, but it's easier to see the negative when you're going through like hard times. It's easier to see it as I'm never gonna get out of this, because that's exactly immediately how some of our minds go, right? Like immediately go to, I am stuck in this hole. I'm never gonna get out of it. And it sucks. And then we forget that we have had very plenty of beautiful moments in our lives. Like it has sucked so bad. Yes. But we have also had amazing moments with amazing people that I would never change or take back, or that I'm just forever going to be grateful for. And this reminds me of a Billie Eilish interview that I watched a long time ago when she met her son, I Don't Want to Be You Anymore. And it's where she talks about herself. And in the interview, she talks about how she has let her own sadness ruin so many good moments of her life, or what could have been good moments of her life. But she was so in her head, or so sad, or so depressed, or so just seeing all of the negative that what's going on in her life at the moment, instead of seeing it as, yeah, all of this is happening, but there's also this good thing that it's happening right now that I could go and do. But because you let the negative feelings take over you, it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I say that because I've done that. I still do that. As a matter of fact, I same words yesterday. Like if we're going to be real, I literally cried. I cried and got there, and all I could think about was, when the hell is it gonna get better? Because I feel like every single day I wake up and it's like something else is going down, and I take it so personal, and I just take it so hard. And even my friends, like everything that happens around me, I just take it so hard. My friends suffer, I suffer. My girlfriend suffers, I suffer. My anything, like a stranger suffers, I suffer. I saw a homeless person the other day, for crying out loud, and I gave him food. I started crying when we drove away, because all I could think of was like, why the fuck are we getting homeless people? It's just insane. We have billionaires in this country, and then we have homeless people in the street, like struggling for their next meal. Besides the point. But what I'm saying is, even from that moment, you could take a positive out of it. From that moment, this individual is living in the streets, has nowhere to go, has no place, has no home. It's begging for food. but he is still here. And damn if that is not an act of absolute resilience. Like and I remind myself of that every day. My life is shit, but instead of saying it could be better, you know what? It could be worse. It could also be so much worse than what it is. I have a roof over my head. I have food. I have people that love me. I have people that I love, and I have amazing pets, even though sometimes they drive me absolutely bonkers, but I have them. There's people that have less, much less, and they are still content. And it's recently I was in a car accident and my car was total. And that triggered me a lot because the last time that I was unemployed with no car and nothing major was going on in my life was when I first got married to my ex-husband and he had control over everything. So it was triggering for me because I felt like I was back in that moment. And I felt like I was just, all I could think about in my head is, I'm not going forward, I'm going backwards to where it all started. But then I started thinking that, you know what? Sometimes you need to be stripped of everything to be reminded of what you did have. Because I remember when I bought my first car, it was not a good car. It didn't have AC, and I lived in the middle of freaking Arkansas, Little Rock Air Force Base. And if you've been there, it gets hot. It gets real hot. And I had it for 2 years before I even thought about buying a new car. Like, I just liked that I didn't have any car payment. And I could tell you that I was so happy because it was my car that I purchased myself with my money for the first time. It was my first car. And even though I didn't have no AC, like, I made so many memories in that car and I accomplished so many things in that car. Like, I became a better driver in that car because I've never drove before, obviously, till I got the car. Like, and I was 22. Like, imagine, right? So it, it was one of the happiest moments of my life. And I think it's because I was so grateful because I came from Cuba where I had the minimum to survive. And mind you, that even then, and I think about this often too, even then, I grew up in a third world country. It's not like I hated my life every single day. I still had so many happy moments, so many happy memories with so many people that I love. And I just remind myself now, I remind myself of that. I had nothing at one point. And right now, it is scary to feel like I'm losing so much, but I am reminded that I wasn't born with everything. I built what I have, what I gained, everything in this room, every single piece of furniture, of anything from this record player to my bookshelves, like everything has been something that I got myself, that I worked for, that I gained. And everything has a story behind it. And I love it. And I absolutely love that I live my life like that. And it has reminded me that, like I said, you know what? It could be better, it could be worse. And just I remind myself that I was happy even when I had nothing. Even when I had nothing, I still found a way to be happy. So right now, it feels like the world may be against you. And it feels like so many things are going wrong and nothing may go your way. Lord knows I have felt this way plenty of days. I felt this way this morning. Even like, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I'm not going to sit here and preach y'all happy stuff, happy life, happy whatever when I also had those negative thoughts. I cried in the shower today, for crying out loud. I cried after my mom called me today. I cried when my friend texted me she loved me today. I've cried a minimum of 4 or 5 times today. And Lord knows how emotionally I've been lately. But I'm still here. I'm still here. And I think that's so important to remember. I think that it's so important to remember of the times when, you know what, life sucks right now, but it has sucked before. Sucked before real bad. And I got over it. That is amazing to think about because that doesn't make you a victim. It makes you a survivor. And it means that, dude, you got past that shit before. You're going to get past this shit. You're going to get past this shit because it's temporary. It's literally temporary pain right now. And I'm not saying give up, don't look at the news, don't think of fighting or worry. No, that's not realistic. We are going to worry. I'm just saying do not let it take over you. Do not let it become all that you are. Do not let the negativity that is going around in the world consume you because then you will get swallowed in a deep hole that it's going to be so hard to get out of. I'm not saying impossible, but hard enough because I've also been there. So don't let your temporary situation dictate the rest of your life because it doesn't. Remember that you've been in your worst case scenario before. You didn't think you were going to make it, and look at you. Still here, still kicking. Somehow, by a miracle, or by yourself, or by your therapist, or by God, but you're still here. Whatever you want to believe in, somehow you're still here. And that's what matters. That's literally all it matters is that you are still here and that you are still making it and that you will make it. We will make it. We will make it because we have to. And then when you're thinking about that, remember all of the good times that you had before. Just as the bad shit was temporary, all those happy moments were temporary as well. But for some reason, we retain the negative much more than the happy moments that we had. And I hate that. I hate that we do that. I just want you to take a second of your day today to just really sit down and instead of thinking not just of, hey, remember when I was stuck in like that shitty relationship 2 years ago? That's crazy. I didn't think I was gonna make it. Yes, think about it and think of yourself as a badass for making it out of that and kicking ass right now. But also think about remember last year when we went on that trip and we had so much fun and we created so many memories and I met so many people and I found love and I felt so loved. Yes, think about that, but also think about all the good things that have happened in your life, all the good memories that you've made, all the good moments that you had. And do not take them for granted. Just honestly think about it. Look around. Look at the details of fucking hell. You could be walking down outside right now and I could see a butterfly and that would just, it's so beautiful. Just take a moment to be present, to really take in all that life has to offer around you, not just the bad, but the good too. Even if it's something as silly as seeing a butterfly outside of your apartment, because I once, and I'm never going to forget, I once was outside and I heard a humming And I turned around and there was a hummingbird right on my face, literally inches from my nose. And I was so in shock that I just stood there. I'm never going to forget seeing all the beautiful colors of such a majestic bird. And that stuck with me. And I was like, whoa, how often does that freaking happen to anybody that just turn around and there's a hummingbird right on your face? Even though it lasted milliseconds, it still made my day. It's the highlight of my freaking week. And that's not to say that I didn't have any other special moments in that week or that I have a sad life. It's just to say that I appreciated it so much. So maybe what I'm saying is learn to appreciate the good as much as you think about the bad, because it's what will hold you over. It's what will carry you forward. And it's what you ought to want to continue to see. It's what you should want to continue to live for, right? Like, it's not just, I made it, I'm here, now what? It's, I made it, I've been through that before, I'm here, it sucks right now, but you know what? I've had so many good memories before too, I had so many good times before too. I can have that in the future as well. I just have to make it there. So just remember to appreciate. And this is so basic, but stop and smell the flowers. Go touch some grass. Because sometimes that's really all you need. Sometimes all I need is to go to the beach, take my shoes off, walk in the sand for 2 seconds, and just let go. And just not think of anything else but the freaking waves reaching me and the sound of the ocean and the birds around me. And that's all I focus on, and the sunsets, and just enjoy that moment, enjoy being present, and don't take things for granted, because everything is temporary. Okay. That also is a double-edged word, because just as your bad shit is temporary, so is the good shit too. So learn to appreciate it and carry it with you. Not the bad stuff. The bad stuff, learn it, take your lesson, take what you need to take, leave the rest behind. But the good things carry with you, because you will need that. And to end this episode, on my last post, I gave some book recommendations, and one of them was 12 Lessons to Save Your Life. And I so highly recommend that book because it saved my life, to be honest with you, amongst other million books. That book generally helped me shape my entire mindset in life. And it's written by a Holocaust survivor. So just think about this. She talks about this in the book. When she was in the concentration camp, she saw people run to the fence, to the electric fence, because they much rather die than go through all the pain that they were about to go through in the concentration camp. And that's when she had this moment where she thought, psychology is so odd. There are so many of us, we're all here, but there are so many of us that still hold on to hope that it's going to get better and that we are going to make it, that we're going through all of this, and none of us have thought about just ending it all by running to electric fans, but instead fighting and believing that we will make it out of here. Now imagine going through the most horrific things that, I mean, imagine being in a concentration camp, and that it's your mentality, as opposed to some other people that just went, I'm not gonna make it, so I'm just going to end it. And she made it. She made it. She had a beautiful family. She made it. And life hasn't been like rose petals for her since. Like, plenty of things happened. Okay, Dexter. Plenty of things happened to her in her life, in her journey. Probably not as bad as the concentration camp, but still. And she's still here. It's just about how you shape your mind. Take a step back and view everything. Look at the bigger picture, not just today's snapshot of it. And with that, I will leave you all to ponder and reflect. And if there are any specific topics that you would like me to talk about on the podcast, please let me know. I'm trying to make it so everybody's voices are heard and that we can all discuss so many different points of views. Like we all have our own journey, our own story to tell. And that's what the podcast is about. So I'm sure there's somebody out there that will resonate with whatever story any of my guests will have. And I'm very much looking forward to it. So thank you for listening. And I hope tomorrow is kind to you, kinder than it was today. Have a good day.